a joke for you. I honestly got a joke for you. So, okay. I'm trying to remember how the joke goes, but I got a joke for you. I know you haven't responded yet, but that's okay. I got a joke for you. If I can only remember the darn punchline though. I can't remember the setup. But the punchline's hilarious. I'm just letting you know. That's why I'm smiling, because the punchline of the joke is freaking hilarious.
Well, I hope you remember when it really counts.
Well, I was gonna start the show off with it, but I guess
not.
I guess not. Because I can only remember the punchline, and I'm like cracking up over here. I'm really cracking up, but I can't believe I can't remember the setup to the joke, and it was funny. It was a dad joke, and it was funny. Oh, okay. So I actually remember the setup now. So I was talking to my wife, and I said, I had no idea that you drew your eyebrows in with a pencil. And she looked surprised.
Good for her.
Oh, man, I forgot who I was dealing with.
Introduce you to the greatest combat sports show bar none. You are now in the beatdown.
You wanna get beat down?
Let us now introduce you to your host, the Badger, and
What's going on, family? What's going on, family? It's Tuesday, baby. Tuesday. And we got our Method Man disguise on today, but it's Tuesday. Got the same color shirt on. That's all right.
Shout out to Clifford Smith, man, for winning an award for his acting capabilities, right? We need to talk more about that.
Yeah.
Clifford Smith. I didn't mean to say Harris. That's T.I. Clifford Smith. I think that's Method Man's name. So
you said
brought him up.
You said Clifford Smith.
Award, so,
yeah,
brother won an award, man, for his acting prowess. Good for him, man. I like Method Man, and he's done a lot and represents a lot for the culture. So it's good to see him transitioning away
what does
from
that
hip-hop,
mean?
which he can still do, and get out there and really be good at acting, bro. That's dope.
Well, I mean, he was in Belly. He's been acting for a while.
Yeah, but his role as Knowledge in Belly was very limited. But Method Man's persona kind of got him buying a lot of those early roles, but now he's really good, bro.
Okay.
So like my partner said, it's Tuesday. We here. He's excited, obviously looking refreshed. Bro, what is going on? You stuck it to me yesterday, bro, about this Frampton Herring fight. So let's get started there. It's going down in the UK, bro. Two of our best, favorite, most fan-friendly fighters. And a fight that deserves all the attention it's going to get. For the straps, who do you like, bro? How you see this playing out?
I always know Carl Frampton's coming. He's going to bring it. He's coming from bell to bell. Punch, bell to bell. We've seen him in some wars, through the years.
Leo Santa Cruz.
Yeah, I was going to say with Santa Cruz. That's where I really started watching Frampton. But, man, them glasses are killing me. But I like Jamel Herring. He just going to have to be on his A+ game. That's all. I like Jamel Herring. We don't pick winners, but he's gonna be on his he's gonna have to be on his A+ game, because Frampton always shows up ready for a fight. Always. Shout out, Miss Audrey.
I mean, I'm kind of the fresher fighter, the better looking fighter as of late has been Jamel Herring. But man, like you mentioned, the war at Santa Cruz and come back and win that second fight in that rematch. you just gotta like Frampton, man. Gotta like his tenacity, and he's fighting in his backyard. So this is going to be good. But man, I think we're going to see Jamel Herring try to take a next step. And I don't mean that any disrespect to Carl Frampton. I think that right now we're probably going to see the best version of Jamel Herring. He's been with Bo Mack and Coach Red and Coach Esau and all those guys out there at B&B Boxing in Omaha, out there with Terrence Crawford and Steve Nelson. You know, he's around other champions. You know, something has to be said for that. Now, unlike Maurice Hooker, I think Jamel Herring is able to be a little bit more composed. I think his military background and just life experiences in general kind of shaped him a little different. So I expect this to be a hell of a fight, man. Frampton coming off the injury. I mean, I don't know, bro. But this is legacy defining fight for both gentlemen. I think both of these men are the cream of the crop or a part of the cream of the crop of their division, obviously. And I think the winner of this fight looks forward to maybe Gervonta Davis. We don't know what his legal troubles are going to be, but that could possibly be a big fight at 130. Maybe a Tevin Farmer. There are a lot of good guys at 130 that could really break some great fights for these two. But they got all the attention this week, bro. So I'm like you, man. We don't pick winners. But I feel like Herring being with B&B Boxing, this is his third fight with them or something like that. I feel like this is just I feel like we're gonna see a little bit more. Not a totally different fighter because Herring's a little bit up there. He's not gonna change who he is. But I think we just gonna see better versions, man. So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
I like him because I think he's gotten better since he captured the title. And it's rare to say that about somebody, to be able to say, hey, they've actually improved their game since they captured a title. But I like Jamel Herring. I really do. But
do you think that there is an advantage for Carl Frampton fighting at home?
There's always an advantage.
When it comes down to championship fights like this, it don't even really matter.
No, it matters. The Brits always have an advantage fighting at home. Always. As long as you leave it in the hands of the judges, they always have an advantage fighting at home. Tell me one time they didn't when you leave it up to the judges.
Okay. I just want to make sure we touch on that a little bit before we.
But that fight's
because you made a point to bring it up yesterday, and we said we were going to get on that. So I figured it was kind of dope to get it on out there when we first started the show.
That fight's going to be on BT Sports as well as ESPN at 4 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday. So, hey, you can get your fight started early. Get your fighting early. I know you probably have some stuff. I know my partner's going to probably throw something on the grill. And it probably a piece of dead animal, although he's been eating a lot cleaner. But I don't think he fires his grill up for vegetables. I could be wrong.
I don't know, man. Might do something a little special, man. But definitely, I won't be putting it on the grill this weekend. It'll be a kind of somber weekend, but I'm sure I eat good though. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Bro. Now, before we jump into something else, I want to talk about this because I feel like there is something to this. Not in regard to who we would think will win this fight, but this person that mentioned this has a history of just kind of saying some things that maybe, a little not well received by the boxing public. Tim Bradley, who I think we both liked as a fighter, who I think we both thought was a better fighter than commentator, came out yesterday and said that he feels like, now check this out, and you may have some interesting thoughts about this, bro. He said he believes that a prime Bud Crawford beats a prime Floyd Mayweather. Bro, we are both heavy Bud Crawford fans on here, but does either one of us feel like that is accurate?
That was a prime idiotic statement. No, not at all. That's not accurate. Not at all. Not at all. I mean, when you look at the way Floyd beat people, he didn't. No, there's no. I don't see it. And I like Bud. I just don't see Bud ever beating a prime Floyd Mayweather Jr. No. No.
I know Tim and Bud have a very good relationship, close relationship. I remember actually seeing a documentary or following up on a story of it was actually on a Tim Bradley fight card, and he talked about how the first time he sparred Terrence Crawford, and that he invited Terrence Crawford to come back for every camp after that because he knew that he said that someday this guy was going to be a world champ. So I respect Tim Bradley for being a friend and for kind of, being one of the first people to see the greatness in Terrence Crawford, because when it's all said and done, Terrence Crawford will go down as one of the best to ever do it, period. I don't think we will say he's the best ever at 147 or 140, 135, but I think we'll look at Terrence Crawford's career and say, hey, man, this dude was a badass because he just went through 3-4 divisions and got belts in all of them and was undisputed at one. But like you say, man, we talk about Floyd Mayweather, it's like when you compare somebody to Michael Jordan, right? Or you compare someone to Barry Sanders or Bo Jackson or Walter Payton. You have to be special to even draw those comparisons, right? We can't even because there are a lot of good athletes, but we reserve that level of air, no pun intended, for the ones that are truly just iconic. Because Terrence Crawford is not going to fight Earl Spence, I don't think he'll ever get that iconic status that he probably deserves. And neither will Earl Spence, because they both will be remembered for what? Not fighting each other.
Yeah.
And if Earl Spence has his way, he won't even fight Keith Thurman. So I think there will be a lot left to desire with both guys at the end of their career, which is why I don't think either one of them will ever get into that rarefied air of Floyd Mayweather, Andre Ward, Canelo Alvarez of the current generation of fighters. But yeah, bro, I don't think, because listen, one thing I know about Terrence Crawford is he's a dog, right? We know that Bud has that it factor in him, right? He has that dog, right? But we often see too long, Bud is kind of operating on dial-up, and Floyd Mayweather is on, like, I don't know, some type of special broadband, Bluetooth, I don't know, Wi-Fi connection. Because what takes Floyd Mayweather a round or a round and a half, maybe two max to figure out, we've seen it take Terrence Crawford about 6 rounds, right? Mm-hmm. We've seen Terrence Crawford get hit in multiple fights throughout each weight class and be hurt or stunned. We can count on one hand every time we've seen Floyd Mayweather hit hard or stunned or hurt. So just by the eye test, I don't think anyone would believe that Crawford could beat Floyd Mayweather.
Now, I'm not going to discount it completely because I've seen Crawford hit, but I haven't really seen him stun that often. Have seen him hit, but I've also seen him just generate ferocious power and just more power than I've seen Floyd generate. And he's fast. Do I think he can beat Floyd in Floyd's prime? No, but I think he'd come the closest. He'd give him a heck of a run.
I think that we would all agree that the top two guys, at least I think we're all on the board with that. We look at Earl Spence and Terrence Crawford as the top two in the welterweight division. I think we all kind of feel like, okay, it wasn't those guys' primes, and in Floyd's prime, it would be a fight. But we still don't believe they would win the fight. Terrence Crawford's biggest attribute to me is his ability to just know that he's going to beat you. And I say that loosely because I don't want to diminish his skill, because Bud Crawford is one of the most skilled fighters on the planet.
And he can fight your fight and win.
When you watch Terrence Crawford fight, he doesn't really fight until he gets hit hard. Until he feels like that, okay, maybe there is something here. It's almost like he has to get mad before he fights. We saw it in the David Benavidez fight. Jose Benavidez fight when he stopped Jose late in round 11 or 12. It was the end of the fight. We saw it in the Yuriorkis Gamboa fight when Gamboa hurt him. We saw it in the Mean Machine fight when he hurt him. We saw it in, it was one more fight that he had. It wasn't American. I can't think of who the other guy was. But there have been a handful of fights where we're like, okay, Bud, when you gonna get started? This is looking way closer than it should be. And it's like, oh, Bud gets rocked. And then, oh, okay, well, that was the wrong move because now he's gonna commence to kicking your ass.
Listen, a lot of that can be, well, some of that can be attributed to what Mike Tyson had said one time. He said his biggest problem when he was the best in the world was getting bored in the ring. When you knew this person could not beat you. Sometimes you will get bored and take your eye off the prize and just go into coast mode until something happens to wake you up. Now, it didn't happen to Tyson that often, but I've seen it happen to a lot of other fighters through the years where they know they're better than everybody they're going to face. So it's hard for them to get up. They just stay in shape. But it's hard for them to really get up against somebody they don't feel any threat from until they feel a threat from them. And then it's like, okay, let's go. And I'm thinking Bud might fall into that category, because who has he fought that you really thought had a shot at beating him? Nobody.
No, it's not. Definitely not since he's moved up. No.
Who at 140 that you thought he was going to beat him?
Probably really no one I can think of. All his threats came early when he was at 35.
And he dispensed them.
Because
And he dispensed of them.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I think once he got to 140, everybody's kind of like, okay, we need to be watching out for this guy. And the guys that they didn't put him in there with that may have not been the stiffest of competition, he kind of wiped the floor with him. But to your point that I find interesting is that may be the difference. That's the difference between being great and being iconic. Never seen Andre Ward take a lot of shots. Never seen Floyd Mayweather take a lot of shots. Those guys got up every fight they were in. That's what made those guys special. I guess that's the difference, right? Because even when we see Earl Spence fight, it's like, okay, what's going on? Oh, there we go. Okay, now he's starting to wait. Okay, now the fight's over. Floyd Mayweather, Andre Ward, they beat you from bell one. In the first round, Floyd may not do a lot, but you still ain't hitting him.
Right.
Like, he may be trying to get distance and timing down, but you still ain't hitting him. So by the time round 2 or 3 comes in, okay, now you haven't landed a punch in 2 or 3 rounds, the first 2 or 3 rounds, and now you're getting peppered.
And now that
when he was in a smaller weight division, now you're getting hurt.
Right.
From 130 to 135, Pretty Boy was putting dudes out. He was stopping dudes. He was beating dudes up. You talk about it later Mayweather, that's a little different. But early on in his career, he was beating the hell out of people.
Yeah.
So yeah, bro, I don't know. But I just something I wanted to get your opinion on. I just thought that it was.
But that even bleeds.
A little bit of homerism on that little season and home cooking from Tim Bradley. But I just wanted to get your thoughts on where you would stand on that.
Well, to me, that also bleeds over into the UFC when you look at guys like John Jones. People are like, well, why John Jones not have a good fight against Gustafsson the first fight? Why did he have a close fight against Dominic Cruz? Or was it Dominic Reyes? Reyes. I just don't think John perceived. Right. I just don't think John perceived anybody could really beat him. And you get in there, and if you don't come in, I mean, you know this, you're an athlete. If you don't come in the beginning ready and focused and on your game, you start slipping. It's hard to grab onto something. And a lot of people just do enough to win. And then we saw that in the rematch against Gustafsson. It's like, dang. Just like when Jones fought Cormier the first time. He beat him, but it wasn't like he beat him the second time. And I guess you can say the same thing against Stipe. When Stipe lost to Cormier the first time, then he realized, okay, this 205 is a heavyweight. He's not 205. I've got to fight him. And when he fought him the second time, I mean, Cormier took his foot off the gas, but then Stipe ended up winning, but then he dominated the third fight. I just think a lot of times guys, when they, and men, women, I'm not being sexist on this one, but you get to a certain point and you just think you're supposed to roll out the carpet and beat everybody because you have been. I would even say the Chris Cyborg fight against Amanda Nunes. I don't know if Chris took it as seriously as she should have, and she got knocked out in the first round because of it. What's Amanda Nunes' best punch? Everybody knows what Amanda Nunes' best punch is. That overhand right. If you're taller, you're bigger, why are you fighting down what's going to make it harder for you to defend the overhand right? Because you've been running through every woman who's moved up to fight you. This ain't the same. She's a different breed. But I've seen that low playing other sports. I've had that low in wrestling. Guys who I've beaten 2 and 3 years in a row, they see me my senior year. It's like, there's something different about this kid. There was one guy that did Stephen Green. I'll never forget him. One of the nicest guys I ever faced. Stephen Green wrestled for Zephyr Hills. I destroyed Stephen Green our junior year. I destroyed him on his home mat on their tournament. I beat him. Steve was like 6'3", 6'4", barely made the 275 limit. Beat him. Didn't gloat, didn't brag, but it was definitive enough for him to start at that point and work all year to do nothing but beat me. He even joined the basketball team so he could get in shape while he wrestled. Because his coach told my coach, his goal was to beat him. It was nothing that your guy did that, was out of the way. He just felt like he had to beat him to prove something to himself. When I met him my senior year, we were evenly matched. This kid he had moves that he didn't. I mean, but again, I just knew I was supposed to beat him. And he got
me. So without us going too far down the rabbit hole, I want to buy that.
Really?
I would like to think that John Jones, I would like to think that, he got bored of competition. I would like to think that he was a cat playing with his food. But his record doesn't say that. As a matter of fact, his record says the gap just closed. Because when you look at John Jones' last 7 fights, 7, not 3, not 4, not 5, his last 7 fights. He stopped Chael Sonnen, first round. Mm-hmm. That was UFC 159. That was April of 2013. Mm-hmm. His next fight against Alexander Gustafsson, the one that we thought he probably could have potentially lost, that went 5 rounds. That was a decision. Mm-hmm. That was 2013. The next fight against Glover Teixeira, that went 5 rounds. That was April 2014.
What was the decision though?
It went. It was a decision.
It does matter. He could have washed him. What was the decision?
He probably washed him. I mean, it's John Jones. I don't think any of these fights at this point were close.
The Gustafsson was. I think it was like 48-47.
He thought he lost. That was a split decision because maybe he won on all the cards. It was close. I watched that fight live.
Yeah, me too.
Very close fight, and I thought that could have went either way. Notwithstanding all that, he won a decision. It wasn't a stoppage. Daniel Cormier, first fight, UFC 182. That was 2015. 5 rounds. Decision. Mm-hmm. His next fight, UFC 197, April 2016, against Ovin St. Preux. Mm-hmm. Decision. 5 rounds. His next fight, Daniel Cormier, the rematch. Mm-hmm. July 2017. He stopped Cormier in the 3rd round. Mm-hmm. Okay? But then that was overturned because of the testing positive for Turner Brewer, whatever. It didn't matter.
Here's the thing.
Right?
Before you go forward, Cormier never even complained about that.
April 2018. Mm-hmm. He rematches Alexander Gustafsson. Mm-hmm. No, I'm tripping. No, hold on. Let me go back up. Daniel Cormier. So then, he gets rematched against Alexander Gustafsson. December 2018, he stops him in 3 rounds. Yeah. Marvelous performance. March 2019, he faces Anthony Smith. Decision, 5 rounds. Mm-hmm. July 2019, he fights Thiago Santos, who later we found out had torn up all the ligaments in his knee. Mm-hmm. He won 5 rounds. His last fight, Dominic Reyes, February 2020, he won 5 rounds. Mm-hmm. Your theory makes sense because it should happen once. If I'm the GOAT and I get in a dog fight, now I've been reset. If I'm fighting whoever and I get in a dog fight, it's been reset. However good I thought I was, I'm not that good. I just fought this dude I didn't train for and I almost lost. Or it was close. People are talking like, maybe the luster is worn off.
That's what's going on in your head.
Next time I get in a fight. So the next fight I have, I'm not going to be lackluster. I am going to train. And I'm going to show how great I am. I think what we're seeing from John Jones, who's also 33, about to be 34. I think the sport in general, people just got better. I think you got more guys involved in the sport, and there was a generation right behind John Jones that looked at John Jones as the new gold standard. And now you got a bunch of fighters that are just getting better, similar to how John Jones looked at Anderson Silva. He was that generational change. I think the John Jones athlete from 7, 8 years ago is kind of what the standard fighter is now. Now, they're not as great, obviously, because it's much more than that. But just the way John Jones fights, the athleticism, you're seeing a lot more of that with these guys. And I honestly feel like the competition just got better. Jones is still the best, but the field just got better.
I'm not going to dismiss that.
That he was undisciplined enough.
I do.
So bored, or he was so bored that for his last 5 fights, he just said,
not really. Listen, I'm not pulling that theory out of thin air. This isn't something that just I have in my head. This is theories shared by other people who get paid to analyze these fights as well. And when you listen to John Jones himself, and he said, my biggest downfall, honestly, is buying into how great I am. Now, when you look at some of those fights, you got to look at what the scores are, because they may have been 49-45. They didn't have to be, or 49-46 rather, or whatever. They didn't have to be close fights, all of them, just because they're 5-round decisions. Nobody looked at Floyd and said, well, you only beat him by, 7. You only had 7 rounds out of the 12, and said, the gap is closing. No, we've never said that. What I do believe is, when I've looked at most of John Jones's fights, a lot of times he tries to beat you at your own fight. If he fought his own fight, he would have probably destroyed a lot of these guys by knockout. But sometimes John liked to get in there and humiliate people. He wanted to beat you at your strength, and that cost him in a couple of fights. Being undisciplined is a big knock on Jones. It's nothing new. Joe Rogan has said it. Daniel Cormier has said it. Back when Mike Goldberg was on, he said it. It was just a characteristic of John Jones. You didn't know. You knew he was going to be better than you, but you didn't know which John Jones was showing up. Was he totally focused? Was he not? I mean, it's come out of the man's own mouth, dude. It's not a theory. It's come out of his own mouth.
Yeah, that's cool. I hear you. I just find it odd that it takes you 5 fights to get motivated. Or, according to you, he's only going to be motivated by fighting Francis Ngannou, because by your theory, then
that's not what I said. But go ahead.
I didn't say that's what you said. I say by your theory. If he needs something to get up for, if he needs someone to really get him up for a fight, then I guess that would be Francis Ngannou. Is that a safe thing to say? Would you agree with that?
I would hope he'll get up to fight Francis Ngannou, but yes.
Okay, cool. So then, with that being said, then now I understand the logic by what you were saying yesterday. That no, he don't need to fight a tune-up. He needs to go right in there with Francis, because you believe, based on his previous performances, that Francis Ngannou is the only guy he's going to get up for.
That's what you're saying.
No, I'm asking. I'm trying to connect the dots here.
All right. That's the fight he wants. I think the first heavyweight he faces, John's going to be on his game. Because why? He's never been in the octagon in a regulated match against a heavyweight. He does not want to look bad.
Right. Gotcha. Okay. But he still should fight Ngannou first, by your logic, right?
Listen. John Jones. John Jones. I'm not going down that rabbit hole with you. John Jones.
That's why we're on the show, bro. You can answer the question. Because yesterday you were adamant about it. I
said the best thing for John Jones, is to not fight Ngannou first. The best thing for Dana White was to have him fight Ngannou first. So if I'm advising John Jones, I take another fight. And I don't necessarily go after number 2 or number 3, but I take a fight against a guy in the top 10 just to see where I am. Okay, yes, he does. He does get motivated, because it's a new air.
Do you think he gets motivated for Israel Adesanya?
Yes, because Izzy is as cocky as he is. I don't know if he gets as motivated now because that O's gone. But I think he gets motivated just to shut Izzy up. But he's got nothing to gain at this point. He had something to gain before Izzy fought Blachowicz. But he has nothing to gain now. So actually, come to think of it, no, I don't think he gets motivated to fight Izzy. Izzy's 185. Izzy can fight. Izzy can move. But John is much better than Jan Blachowicz. So I don't think John gets motivated after what he saw against Izzy. Now, if Izzy comes back and beats Jan in a rematch and washes him, then he might get motivated. But I think at this point, after seeing what happened, no, he doesn't get motivated. No.
Okay, well, I mean, listen, you wiggle better than John Jones does, brother. So we can go on to the next point.
Wow.
So your correction, bro. The fight is not the 17th. Both fights in Florida are the 24th, April 24th. That will be Diaz against Navarrete, the top-ranked card in Kissimmee, and Usman versus Masvidal. Both fights are the same weekend here in Florida, which goes back to your original point. It's a lot of big stuff going on, bro.
How's that my correction? I said I could not find the fight in Kissimmee.
No, but you said the UFC fight was the 17th.
There is a UFC fight on the 17th. If I'm
well, the big UFC card, the main event card, the one I thought you were referring to is on the 24th. I don't know what fight's on the 17th, but I'm sure you'll let me know.
Yeah, it's UFC. So, yeah, UFC Vegas. Go ahead.
So, who is that?
Nobody. Oh yeah, Robert Whittaker versus Kelvin Gastelum.
On the 17th?
On the 17th.
That was the fight you were talking about? You weren't talking about Usman Masvidal?
Usman Masvidal is on the 24th. Yeah,
right.
That's my fault. Right. Yeah, you're right.
Okay. Now, bro.
We had 3 championship fights on that night.
Yeah, because you got the other fight down in Miami, right?
No. Zhang Weilei's on that card, plus Valentina Shevchenko.
Oh yeah, we already talked about how stacked that card was, especially for the women. Like they're the opening fight and the co-main, bro. And those are gonna be some good fights.
Now, when I said the 15th, I meant May 15th. If that's what we got with Charles Oliveira and Michael Chandler.
Yeah, that was UFC. No, you mentioned Boo Boo. Boo Boo fights what, the 17th? Is that what you got mixed up? Is that the day he fights down in Miami, or is that in May as well? Because I know you mentioned Boo Boo fighting down in Miami. I just don't remember if that was April 17th or in May.
That is April 17th.
Okay, all right.
Hollywood, Florida. Perella fights the same day. Jake Paul versus Ben Askren's the same day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So before we get completely off the UFC, bro. So I know you saw this on your timeline if you checked your phone. John Jones came out and said, hey, y'all just release me, UFC. Just let me go. What do you make about that, bro? Is this posturing by John Jones just to try to get more conversation around the fight? Or do you really feel like John is trying to hit that maybe we should follow some of these other guys' lead and take these fights to the platform? Now, he definitely can't do it with Ngannou or anybody that's even remotely good in the UFC because they're contractually bound. But could John be onto something? Could John Jones go and get a lot more money fighting on Triller? He wouldn't really get much of an opponent, but
he would not get an opponent.
Is that what he's trying to do here?
He would not get an opponent. You're right. And he would get the bag. He'd get the whole bag. But I don't think he would draw the pay-per-views either because people are going to feel like he's running from Ngannou. So I think he's posturing because he doesn't want to release. Where's he going to go? There's no independent that's going to draw a big enough gate to pay him a huge bag because there's nobody they can put against him that they'd want to see. It's not that they wouldn't want to see him, but who do you want to see him fight besides Francis Ngannou? People don't even want him to go back to 205. They don't even care about who's at 205 anymore. So there's nobody else that they really want to see John Jones fight but Francis Ngannou. Stipe lost. That was a fight they really wanted. Go ahead.
I'm gonna ask you a question because I want to get your goat going. Because you're wiggling like a mug. You wiggling today, so let me help you squirm a little bit. Do you think
Nope.
that we are contributing to a fight that maybe shouldn't happen, much like people from outside the diaspora were wanting Floyd Mayweather to go up to 160 and fight Triple G, to go up to 160 and fight whoever. Or you know what? Go to 154, Floyd, and fight at the time Jamal Charlo. Well, why is Floyd? Because he's so great at 40 and 47 and 35. Do we just want to see Floyd get beat? Because why we just can't let Floyd be great? Why not just let Floyd ride off into the sunset?
Which he did.
Are we doing the same thing to John Jones? Why is it that we want John Jones, who is the greatest champion in UFC history and probably the greatest mixed martial artist of all time? Why are we in such a rush to see him fight someone that, wow, I just don't know if I don't know how that fight gets made. I really don't. Unless we see something spectacular from John Jones against someone of that size, I don't know how this fight gets made. Now, why are we doing this? Why can't we let John Jones, now granted, he hasn't mentioned retirement, he hasn't said anything, but why can't we let John Jones just be great and at this point in his career,
Please start watching the fights again.
pick and choose where he wants to go?
Well, first of all, we can encourage all we want, but he makes a decision on his own. And before he went to heavyweight, we weren't really propping him up to do this. But yeah, we always encourage, because we like car wrecks. we love car wrecks. And those of us who ever lived near a train, you love to hear that screeching sound so you can look out the window and see what's going on. You may not like the carnage afterwards, but you love the impact. Honestly, there was nobody else for John Jones at 205. Nobody. I don't care what people try to say. Well, he didn't fight Blachowicz. He didn't fight Reyes again. And he didn't hit it, blah, blah, blah. He would have destroyed Reyes in the second fight. That's just John's MO. If you challenge his psyche and you say, look, he was close, he almost beat you, or we think he really beat you, what happened the second time? He destroyed you. And we see how Reyes wasn't even prepared when he came in to fight Blachowicz the second time, or the first time. So, no, there was nothing left for him at 205. If he'd asked for his release then, it would have made more sense. But now, it's posturing. You go up to heavyweight. You make the choice. Nobody said, John, you got to go to heavyweight. No, you made the choice because you wanted to fight who? You wanted to fight Stipe Miocic. That's who you wanted to fight. He entertained the Francis Ngannou thought, but his main goal was to fight somebody and then fight who? Stipe Miocic. But guess who's waiting for you now? Listen, to me, this is like Ali Foreman. The younger, stronger, humble guy. Oh, we found out later George wasn't too humble at the time. But the younger, stronger guy who wants to just get in and fight, and that's it, doesn't really do a lot of talking. Francis is a humble guy, but it's the same war waiting for John Jones. How are you going to have your Ali Boumbaye moment? How are you going to have that? Because you're the brash, constantly diarrhea at the mouth, self-proclaimed greatest to ever do it. Most of us believe that you are the greatest to ever do it. So we're not saying that you're just a blowhard, but you fill that Ali role as far as the braggadocio, the character inside the octagon, inside the ring, and now you're going up against the machine, who's getting better. Do I think he's better, good enough to beat you? Your level of ability was above Stipe's. Stipe had you on the weight. So you put the weight on. You put the muscle on. You're going to slow down some. We know this. But are you still that much faster and have that much more ring IQ or octagon IQ than Francis Ngannou. I don't see John getting hurt. I do see John dominating and getting cocky and possibly getting caught. Now, Stipe's wrestling, not on the level of John Jones. Not.
Well, it's interesting that you say all these weird things about John Jones and you kick him right in the nuts. You talk about how great he is and how he loses focus and all this and all that.
He does.
He'll get up. But then you say he'll get up for Francis Ngannou.
Yeah, he'll have to. He'll have to. Because if he doesn't get up for Francis Ngannou, they're going to have to get him up off the mat. So
that is interesting.
Y'all see this, right? He's not really interested in conversation. He just has to get his point out. Go ahead.
No, I was talking. You cut me off. You had stopped your thought, and I started talking, and you cut me off. That's why I kept talking.
Because I was correcting you.
All I said was it was interesting how John Jones will get up for Francis Ngannou, but then magically in the fight, because he's so good, he'll lose focus against Francis Ngannou and possibly get knocked out.
If he start, and I said if he starts dominating, yes, I could see John, unfortunately, possibly getting caught.
Stop Francis, right? He
Pardon?
wouldn't want to stop him. He wouldn't want to stop Francis, right? He'd get bored because he's just good. I'll just take my 5 rounds and go home.
Where are you going? Where are you getting this from?
Well, you just said he'd get bored. But the only way
I said if he started dominating him early, John may lose focus and get into that realm of I can play around with you. If he does that, he can get caught by either hand, and they will have to get him up off the canvas. Francis does have the potential of knocking anybody out, including John Jones.
So let me get this straight.
Remember the word if. Remember the word if. Go ahead.
No, I'm not even going to use it if this doesn't even matter. So when John Jones is getting busted up, nose busted, mouth busted, eye cut, he was just BSing, right? He wasn't on the real danger, right? It was, I'm just playing around, right? I just want to make sure, because this is a fight we're talking about. We're not talking about another sport where you can lose concentration. Oh, I'll make my next free throw. Oh, I won't jump off sides this time. Oh, I'll make sure my swing is accurate. No, this is a fight at any given second.
So let me get this straight.
Your lights get put out.
So let me get this straight. Are you telling me that are you telling me that fighters never lose concentration in the octagon or in the ring? Is that what you're telling me?
Nope, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it happens, and when they do, they get knocked out. And I'm saying that for John Jones to be the greatest in the world, I just find it odd that you're making him so unstable mentally that he just loses
I didn't
focus.
make him unstable mentally. That's how you're putting it, but I didn't make him unstable mentally.
Well, everything that you're saying is pointing to that. He loses focus.
The way you're seeing it, yeah.
Seriously.
But he would, and I also said he would definitely get up for Francis Ngannou. My only worry is if he starts dominating Francis, if he's touching Francis, if he's out, he's maneuvering around, he's not getting touched by Francis. I worry that at some point John may decide to play around a little bit, and you can't play around with Francis. That's what I said.
Okay, well, and there you have it.
And look, we're up against it,
bro. Before we get out of here, man, Boo Boo says that he is not exclusive to the zone. He's trying to get some fights. I don't know what's going on with Demetrius Andre's career. I feel like him and his pops just, I don't know. I don't know who's advising him, or if it's just him as a unit, or I don't know if it's Eddie Hearn. What is going on, bro? So if you're not exclusive to the zone, then why haven't any of these fights been made, bro?
I asked that same question when the whole Billy Joe Saunders thing. You said you were going to look into it. Why that fight didn't go through? Because I don't know.
But my issue with that fight is I feel like that could have just been easily patched up. But if you're pursuing guys that aren't even your same promotional network, when you start trying to go after PBC guys and other guys that aren't affiliated with the zone, but you're not exclusive to the zone, then what's been happening this whole time? Regardless of who it's been, you haven't been fighting. And the guys you've been fighting have been virtual nobodies. Why haven't you fought anyone? If you can go wherever you want and make fights, what is the issue? I'm getting concerned about this, bro, because these guys aren't getting any younger. We were talking about John Jones. He's actually younger than Francis Ngannou. Demetrius Andre is about the same age as Keith Thurman. All these guys in their early 30s. Crawford, I think, is the oldest at, 34? 33, bro. Ain't a whole lot of time to get this stuff figured out. I just found that very interesting that statement came from Boo Boo, but he can't seem to make no fights. That's crazy. So
you said something that just, wow, Because we were thinking Francis was a lot younger than Stipe. That's what we said on the show yesterday. Francis is 34.
Yeah, I thought Francis was younger than Stipe, but I didn't know how old Stipe was. But yeah.
But then you think about how many times he was kidnapped and brought back to Africa or back to the dead. Francis has an interesting story. We need to get on here and actually tell his story. Because this man was left in the desert to die.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, listen, those type of stories make you want to root for people like him, bro. So, I mean, I heard some of it on Joe Rogan. I was like, man, he almost made Joe Rogan cry. I think Joe Rogan did cry. Joe Rogan's always crying, by the way.
I'm going to say this, and I don't usually I haven't felt this way about a winner of a fight in a long time. Like when he fought Stipe the first time, I was excited because he was from Cameroon. But I kept saying, he's got to have more to him. When he beat Stipe the second time, my whole body, my whole being felt good. I just smiled. And again, it was nothing against Stipe. I respect Stipe as a fighter, as what he does outside the octagon even more, but I respected him as a champion. But when Francis won, that was just a feel-good moment, bro. It was like my mom talked about feeling when Ali beat Foreman. It just felt right. And now I know he's 34. I'm like, wow, I'm glad he got it now. And he didn't have to go back down and try to fight his way back up. Shouts out to him, man. Again, I'm very proud of him. That's it.
Okay. Well, now we up against it. I won't roast my partner for that lame attempt to be a Francis fanboy after he just thoroughly dismissed him. But I'll let him have his moment. Francis is new favorite fighter, bro. We up against it. What we got?
This Joker keeps saying I'm dismissing people. I don't know. Maybe it's the public school system. Look. We got some fights coming up. Tune in Thursday because we're going to talk about the Thursday night fight that'll be on Thursday. And WWE WrestleMania coming right around the corner.
What's up with the ticket sales?
That's what I was getting ready to say. I haven't found.
Yeah, I knew you go ahead and give me a number.
I haven't found the information I've been looking for to see if they opened up more tickets. Oh, they sold out. Yeah, they sold the 25,000 out. In less than an hour. So.
Okay.
And
when are we gonna get an announcement? They're gonna let it announce?
That's what I'm looking to see. I'm looking every day to see. Has DeSantis said, "Go ahead and open it up, Vince"? Because it's coming. It's coming.
Keep me posted on that. I want to know the final numbers, bro. We talked about the implications of that. That's going to have far-reaching effects, not just here in Tampa, but you're going to start to, like I said, Florida is the testing ground, unfortunately, for all this stuff. WrestleMania at half capacity probably. If they can get 40,000 in there and they hit this off without an issue. You got the UFC in Jacksonville. If they can get that going without an issue, and then you turn around, you do the fight card in Kissimmee. That's not going to be at a terribly big arena, but you're going to get 8,000 to 10,000 people in the Silver Spurs Arena in Kissimmee. Bro, they pull these events off, and the numbers are relatively normal. Well, not normal, but they don't really spike. Bro, I see the floodgates opening. The NBA is already allowing fans in. A limited amount, but they're already starting to let fans back in. So.
Whether people are catching COVID or not, they're not going to tell. Figures never lie, but liars can figure. And this is what's going to happen because they're determined to open the country back up because now they found a new stream of income, and it is not just testing but also your vaccines. Trust me, nobody's doing all this for free. There's money that we are paying through taxes, through loopholes the government's giving out for people to make money off these vaccines. So the more people that keep getting sick, the more threat it is, the more people are going to want to get vaccinated. You got people who are getting vaccinated who are still catching it. So they're encouraging them to wait and then come back and get vaccinated again.
It's a lot going on with that. And that's because the vaccine doesn't keep you from getting the COVID strain, which is interesting in itself. But we don't get too far from that, man. Yeah, they're going to get that 70% number, so it doesn't matter. I figure in the next, by the summer, 70% of the population will be vaccinated, and European or mine will matter at that point. So,
listen, FAMU is already considering letting people into their spring game. So
listen, bro, Hillsborough County is not allowing e-learning next year. So everybody's going to be back in school by August anyway. So, yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah, but
over with, bro. Hold on, bro. Hold on.
but actually look and see how many teachers they're down. This is the horrific part. And they're cutting more
Yeah.
positions. So
Listen, teachers are going
way to go, Hillsborough County.
The teachers that are down are going to come back into the school system because most of those people are career educators. And there's just not a lot of jobs out there. And when they try to hold out, they're going to get the vaccine and they're going to go back to work because that's the long and short of it.
This is what he says. We'll wait and see.
My sister's a school teacher, I know.
We'll wait and see. We'll wait and see because I've talked to several who have actually moved into other careers. They don't want to put themselves at risk.
Can't go. All of them can't go.
Many as can will.
Yeah.
So, and look at this. And this is
ones that can't will come back.
This is the reason when a child gets sick with COVID at school, they let that teacher know at the end of the day.
They don't even tell us sometimes.
Right. Sometimes they don't get notified. But the other teachers never get notified who have the children in their class and the children who were in class with that child in their classes throughout the day. They never get notified.
Yep. Well,
So
like
it
I
is
said,
what it
bro,
is.
They got this thing roped off pretty good. I would like to be optimistic, but they gonna get that number. Whatever that number is they're reaching for, they gonna get it.
Yeah. And they're gonna open schools up and they're gonna shut e-learning down. And if your child gets sick, oh well, that's how they look at it. Because the people who make decisions never get in the trenches. Hey,
Watch the number of vaccinations go up once they open up for people 16 up. I think you're gonna get a lot of college kids that's gonna get that shot. And that's really what they want.
well, they said they were gonna do 18 and up, but you think they're gonna go down to 16?
Oh, I'm sorry, maybe it was 18, but whatever, 18, 16.
You're right. It is
whatever that number is. So yeah.
And watch, because right now they're saying they're not going to require vaccinations for passports in Florida.
Absolutely they will.
But yeah, eventually you're gonna. And I have a passport, and I'm not planning on getting vaccinated. So maybe I need to leave the country now.
Don't plan on coming back if you do.
Oh, I wouldn't. I definitely wouldn't. It'd be me and my daughter on the beach in Sierra Leone.
Hey, man, I wouldn't mind you doing location in Africa, but that'd be dope.
And we ain't getting on no ships coming back because we saw what happened the last time we got on ships in Sierra Leone.
And just don't get on one to get there either.
No. Listen, it's gonna be a good day. Get out there, enjoy yourself. I know there was something else I wanted to talk about till you brought that up, but get out there and enjoy yourself. And please be safe. Please be safe. Shout out to Miss Audrey Brown for chiming in, saying she's going to get back to watching fights now. I remember she used to jump up and down and scream at the Sugar Ray fights and the Muhammad Ali fights. And look, they used to have, that's back in the day, they used to have the red light in the ceiling. And when the fights would go off, they turned the red light on. And her sister had that turntable and the 8-track player that was in the cabinet. You lift the cabinet up. Yeah, man. Not everybody on the street had HBO, so they did. That's how they got to watch them. And they be screaming and jumping up and cheering those fights on. That's what made me. That and my mom made me want to watch boxing because I'm like, if it was that good to them, hey, when I get grown, that's what kids always say. When I get grown, I'm gonna watch fights too. So fortunately, I didn't.
Grown and be like, man, this is what being grown is all about. I should stay.
I actually asked. I asked my little brother's mom. I think I was about 22, 23, and I was like, "So, what's the big deal about being grown? Is it like a day when stuff clicks?" And I was younger than that. I might have been 19 or 20. It's like, is there a day when stuff clicks and you just realize you're grown and you know how to do everything? And she kind of chuckled and said, everybody thinks that, but then when you realize that you're never grown, it's a continual growing process. And I was like, wow. But it helped the way she broke it down. I give kids the same advice now. You're never grown, you're just legal. Uh-oh, we got some more people chiming in. Oh, later, guys. Great show. All right, Pops. Appreciate that.
Yeah, this just in. Pasco County will not allow e-learning next year as well. So here we go. But yeah, go ahead and get shout out to those we got here.
Shout out to Miss Audrey. Shout out to Pops who chimed in. Shout out to the Queen Mother, Miss Samantha Clark. Shout out to Alex DeGracia. Shout out to Raquel Miller, Tierra Brown. Shout out to Erickson Lubin. Shout out to all the Fighter Share family, people who have been on here, people who are affiliated. Shout out to the bucket hat over there and the guy wearing it. So I guess we'll see y'all tomorrow.
Man, we appreciate y'all for rocking with us, man. Fighter Share Nation. We'll see y'all tomorrow.
Well, and my wife.
So we get to have a little less time to talk about more important things. You know how that always works out for us. Spread the love out there. It's crazy, man. Mental health is real. Fighter Share Nation, we're out of here. Oh, and by the way, shouts out to Larsa Pippen, who was running through these NBA players like a hot knife through butter. I almost want to know what it looked like, but I ain't going to inquire. We'll see y'all tomorrow. We out here, Fighter Share Nation. Peace.
I'm hungry.